Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Madam Rohana binti Mizan and hello to all my fellow friends. So we are from Group 10 and today we are going to present about the effects of exposure to media violence among children, adolescents and adults. And we choose the theory of planned behavior view about media violence. First of all, I will introduce myself. My name is Nur Shalwana binti Zakaria, and my matrix number 271106. Okay.
My name is
Okay.
Nirosha Tan Chun Lian and matrix is 271157.
Pak mana kan?
Nondiani
Sambung boleh tak?
271207.
My name is Siti Nur Hairunisa binti Azman and my matric number is 271247.
So the title for our group is The Effects of Exposure to Media Violence Among Children, Adolescents and Adults. So next.
Okay, introduction. The first one, the TPB, to explain the predict in an individual's intention to engage in a behavior at the specific time and place. The next, the PTB, is also a weakly applied behavioral model. It helps us to understand how behavior of the people can change. The next, the intention to perform behaviors of different kinds can be predicted with a high accuracy from attitudes towards of behavior, subjective norm, and perceived behavior control. Besides that, together with the perception of behavioral control account of considerable variance in actual behavioral attitudes, subjective norm and perceived behavioral control are shown to be related to appropriate sets of a salient behavioral, normative, and control belief about the behavior. Next, the TPB applied in this media violence issue is because a behavioral intention represents an individual commitment to act and itself to outcome of combination of several variables. Media violence includes the person attitude towards the behavior. The model are based on the premise that individual make logical, reasoned decision to engage in the specific behavior by evaluating the information available to them. The performance of behavior is determined by the individual's intention to engage in it at the same time influenced by the value the individual place of the behavior. The next, I pass to my friends.
Okay, next I will explain about the literature review of our articles. All articles indicate that media abuse has negative effects on individuals and is linked to the theory of expected behavior. Based on 8 articles examined, advanced technology is common nowadays among all the generation. The findings show that media violence contributes to violent behavior in the 3 groups of infants, teenagers, and adults. When the 3 groups, children, teens, and adults, are always fascinated with the new device such as television, video game, and games, as also media violence occurs. Second one is the majority of users are 15 until 20 years of age, adolescents, 6 until 14 years of age, children, and 25 until 34 years of age, adults. Each technology brings its own impact on children, teenagers, and adults, based on the article we review. First, we found that children under the age of 6 spend an average of 2 hours watching TV, DVD, or videos, using computer and playing video games, based on article research. Children between 8 and 18 years of age are also reported to spend more than 40 hours a week using media such as computers, videos game, and etc. Next is according to the Kaiser Family Foundation study on 2010, children aged between 8 and 18 in US are reported to spend more than 7 hours using media, with approximately 4 hours on watching television, 2 hours on listening to music and other audio, 1 hour on computer use, and 1 hour on playing a video game. Second, they also do the same thing for teens as kids who spend more time on television, video games, and the internet. But when compared to teenagers, teens are more advanced. Based on the latest survey in the article, 84% of American teenagers, about 90% of boys, and 75% of girls regularly play video games. It shown that the majority of video games are highly violent in nature. For instance, as the primary strategy to win the game in the video game, there are some kinds of violent acts such as horrific mass shootings, beating monsters, and shooting at enemies. Video game violence causes teenage violent behavior in much the same way as television and film violence. Next is the player is subject to the same picture and sound as violent television or film make. It's believed to have the same experience of cognitive and motivational improvements in the primary of aggressive reaction, enhanced abilities of violent thoughts, that emotion in memory, and recover aggressive behavior script as violent television viewers. Next. Okay. Next, media violence brings bad effect for adults nowadays. Adults, because adults using internet like adolescents. And sometimes they are obsessed with this technology and become more aggressive behavior. It is because by internet they can search what they want and expose what they want, include their personal information. Next. Based on article that we have studied, adults use social media every single day. Social networking networks are often lauded for their ability to communicate, but they are often misused at the same time. Among adults, social media such as Facebook are common. Often adults only imitate what others do on social media by using Facebook for a lot, such as exposing their pictures and their personal details so strangers will see them. Next. For our review procedure, first we have studied 8 articles that relate to the theory of planned behavior. We also take out the important points from the articles and we state it in one table. Next, all 8 articles that we studied is from Google Scholar, Emerald Publishing, Scopus, and more. We also searched the articles that mention about media violence that happen among children, adolescents, and adults that relate or using theory of planned behavior. Media violence is always happen and it also a popular issue in this world. Example for the title for article that we have studied is the role media violence in violent behavior, media violence as a risk factor for children, a longitudinal study, understand media violence and the development of aggressive behavior and more. Lastly, we also use the research paper article for our review. All of the keywords before search the article also have been used and it will help us easy to find all the articles. We also have studied about the theory of planned behavior.
Okay, so now I will introduce the eight articles that we use in our review. Okay, all the articles above talk about the side effects or negative effects on exposure to media violence using the theory of planned behavior. The first one is article social support, reciprocity and anonymity in response to sexual abuse declaimers on social media. The second one is article of risky behavior via social media. The role of reason media violence in violent behavior. The fourth one is the article of media violence as a risk factor for children, a longitudinal study. The fifth one is article short-term and long-term effects of violent media and aggression in children and adults. Six is the aggressive behavior of school children. The last one, we have article investigating and the mechanism of theory of planned behavior on cyberbullying among teen adolescents. Next, I will pass to my group mate for the conclusion.
All right. Thank you, Yayi. So, next for conclusion. In conclusion, the creation and development of the mass media is one of the significant trends in our social environment. In in our social environment in the 20th century, such as radio, television, movie, video games, and computer network that have taken major role in our everyday life in the modern world. So this is not surprising given the prominence of violent content in this media and prominence of television and film in modern life. So for better or worse, our ideal, attitude, and action have an critical impact on the mass. So the theory of planned behavior (TPB) that we apply in this issue is to study the media with the risks of violence and negative effects toward public. So from the article, the social information processing style relate to exposure to media violence. In particular, we were studying the possible relation of media violence to the formation of intent attribution. So, the concept of social influence has been assessed by social norm and normative belief in theory of planned behavior. The TPB is widely applied behavior model and it helps us understand how the behavior of people can change. In this review, we critique the research evidence that lead us to this conclusion. The influence of the violent mass media is a best view as one of the many potential factors the risk of violence. All from us. Thank you.
Thank you.